Welcome back everyone to Artibus version 0.4. This is the fourth update for Artibus, and it introduces a few more mechanics that were intended from SBS. Speaking of, we have the phantom spawning algorithm, and we also have a few changes to the sleep system as well. But in addition to those changes, we have some cool new content updates. So first of all, there are now more blocks in the game that are climbable. Minecraft recently added the ability to change the blocks that you can climb. Now, the only things that you can change are non-full blocks, because the way it works is you have to actually be inside of the hitbox of the block that has been specified. So, for example, the ones that I've selected that I think make make the most sense out of all things that you can climb are end rods. So you can climb up end rods, I guess. You can climb up iron bars, which in my defense makes a lot more sense when they're like this, because it looks like it looks like a ladder, for Christ's sake. Like, look at that thing. It looks so climbable. And also chains as well. And this idea was actually inspired from the Creeper's Code, which is one of the best data packs I've ever seen, if not the best data pack I've ever seen. So go check it out because it's awesome. And I believe it's getting a fourth update quite soon, so I'll probably do a review or something similar when it comes around. But yeah, that'd be quite cool. We also have a few changes to Endermen as well. Endermen can now hold a much larger list of blocks. What I've basically done with the Enderman block holding list is separate it into two segments. So I'll get onto this one in just a moment. But first of all, the list of blocks that Enderman can pick up and hold is, again, a list of blocks that you can edit within a data pack. So now, this list of blocks that you see here with the iron blocks, with the Enderman on top of those are the blocks that Enderman can now steal. So they can pick those up off the ground and steal them. So again, we have grass, dirt, coarse dirt, podzol, sand, and a few of the other things that you'd expect them to be able to take. Now, my logic with this was to kind of remove all of the non-full blocks, because I don't like the aesthetic of Enderman holding something which is not whole, if that makes sense. I think it looks really ugly. So I've changed it so that they can only hold full blocks instead. I think that looks much better, basically. So there you go. It's cool stuff. And the gold blocks over here are a bit different. Endermen now have a 1 in 20 chance to spawn holding a block. So first of all, these blocks over here that you see that they can naturally pick up, they can spawn holding any of those blocks, but they also have a rare chance to spawn holding a special item instead. So that can range from anywhere from coal ore, iron ore, gold ore, right the way through to the nether ores here, and also endstone and obsidian, which in my opinion probably be the most helpful one, because you can just kill an Enderman and get some obsidian. Bad side effect of this is that he might drop the obsidian in front of your door. Hopefully not. I don't think that will happen. There's a very rare chance that will happen, but it might happen, so that'd be funny if it does, I guess. But there you go. So yeah, Endermen now have a mob converter set of functions where they spawn holding a certain block. But again, just to be clear, the way that this works is they can only pick up the blocks that you see over here, but they can spawn holding these blocks. So an Enderman isn't going to steal your diamond ore, he might just occasionally spawn with some diamond ore, if that makes sense. So I think that's a really cool way of doing it. Now, I do want to add more blocks to this list, so if you can think of more precious blocks for them to spawn with, or more non-precious blocks for them to be able to steal, please do let me know in the comments below, and I will update it in the next patch. I've already got a few ideas. I'm thinking of adding a few more blocks from the nether, so things like blackstone and basalt and stuff like that, so they'd be able to spawn holding them in the overworld, and then you get like a block from the nether, implying that these guys are interdimensional travelers, which is exactly what they are. I love that lore. I love the idea that Endermen spawn in the end and then teleport to the overworld in the nether to steal shit. So yeah, it's really cool. Please do give me ideas for more blocks for them to hold for sure. But yeah, moving on from that, we have a change to pillagers, and I would like to credit Chalk of Overgrowth 32-bit for this one. I always feel weird saying Chalk of Overgrowth 32-bit, because if I just say Chalk, I feel like you guys don't know who I mean. Basically, the guy who makes Overgrowth, that really cool medieval resource pack that I recently made a trailer for, a couple weeks ago. That guy basically, I chat to him in the PCO all the time, and he gives me loads of cool ideas for data pack stuff and resource pack stuff alike. So this was his idea, and I've just put it to use because he's not a data pack maker, he's a resource pack artist. So yeah, basically this idea is that pillagers can hold lanterns at nighttime, which I think is a really cool idea. Occasionally you do see pillagers going on a wander in the middle of the night, walking over to a village to try and kill some villagers, I guess. Or, of course, you just find a pillager outpost where they have a few torches littered around. But pillagers, they don't really seem like mobs that would like to exist in the dark because, again, they're not hostile. Well, no, they're not undead. They're not, like, spawned naturally. They have a specific... Never mind. Anyway, basically, if it's nighttime, they hold lanterns. So... I think it's adorable. It's so good. So the way that this works is there's a clock ticking in Artibus every second using an advancement loop, and it basically targets all pillagers at nighttime and then gives them a lantern in their offhand and then plays the iron armor equip sound in order to signify that it's been taken out. And then when it goes to the daytime again, so if we do 6,000... It's so cool, isn't it? Yeah. So basically, all the lanterns then go away. and they play a slightly deeper version of the iron armor equip sound. So that's really cool. So I think that actually looks really good. If you see a pillager outpost in game with these guys all over it, and then the sun starts to go down just as the sun is setting, it's about halfway while the light in the world is somewhere in between dark and light. They'll all start to pop out their lanterns. It looks really cool in my opinion. So definitely go download Artibus, find yourself a pillager lantern, and wait for the sun to go down, and this kind of stuff will be really, really snazzy. Anyway, moving on from that, we have the cool parts of today's update. First of all, we have the phantom spawning mechanics. I have put a lot of time into the phantom spawning mechanics, and I'm really happy with how they work. Now, I don't want to show you guys too much of how they work on this video because there is a lot to go through, and I could sit here for hours and explain their mechanics in great detail, but there really is no point because you should really just download it and try it out for yourself because it's kind of snazzy. So basically, the way that phantoms work now is phantoms will only spawn between 2 a.m. and 4 a.m. And just to be clear, this only works if you have the extended daytime module enabled. So for those of you that don't know, when you launch Artibus, you will actually need to enable a couple settings if you want to have all the features. So for example, if we go /function settings, you can see here that we have a setting for daytime extender. And when you toggle the daytime extender off and on respectively, it will recommend that you click here to toggle the number of players required to sleep, which adjusts the one player sleep mechanic, and click here to adjust the daytime duration. So that will autofill the command for the daytime duration, and that will suggest the command which toggles one player sleep. So again, you can turn one player sleep on or off. So basically, if you have the daytime duration extender enabled, it will also come with the new phantom spawning mechanics. So by default, when the daytime duration extender is enabled, it will disable insomnia. And the game rule for insomnia is what dictates whether or not phantoms will try and hunt you after 3 days of not sleeping. Now, obviously, with the daytime duration extender, the way that the game is intended to be played is that you have 90-minute duration daytimes and 90-minute duration night times. Sounds like overkill, but for me personally, I really like it. For me personally, playing vanilla survival, I hate sleeping. It feels like a random chore that you have to do every 10 minutes that is effectively meaningless. It's really annoying. It just gets to a point now where every time the sun starts to go down, you have to just run to a bed, sleep, and get up again. And then if you don't, or if you've got a setup where you've disabled mob spawning in your whole area by having loads of torches all over the place, then eventually you get phantoms coming, and they're just annoying, and that's it. It's so stupid. I think that the mechanics behind Minecraft's sleep system are broken, and I do not like it at all. But it's fine. It obviously doesn't matter. We can make a data pack, so it's all good. But yeah, so basically what this will do now is our 90-minute daytime, 90-minute duration nighttime is basically designed to make it so that you don't have to sleep every 10 minutes, you only have to sleep every 90 minutes. And if you do have a situation in which you don't need to sleep because you've disabled mob spawning in a large area by using torches and shit like that, then you will get phantoms hunting you for only 2 hours of the day. So that equates to the time between 20,000 and 22,000, or from 2 a.m. until 4 a.m., commonly known as the witching hour. So during the witching hour, the game will try and randomly spawn phantoms at your location. They'll spawn within a 48 block radius around you, 28 blocks above the ground, and for every day that you've been awake, they will get stronger and come harder. So basically, every single time you skip a night, your days awake will be reset to 0, but if you manage to stay awake the entire night after the phantoms have stopped attacking you after 4 a.m., then basically, yeah, they'll just get harder and harder to fight each time, up until a maximum of, I believe, 6 days. So on the first day and the second day, they are the size of 0. And I'm just throwing information at you guys. This is shit. Let me just try this. If we do time set 21,000. So let's just say, for example's sake, that now, currently 21,000 time is 3 a.m. So this is currently a 3 a.m. video now. So, don't summon phantoms in Artibus after 3 a.m. Cursed, you will die, or some shit. I don't really know. So you can see here, scoreboard, objective, set display, sidebar, what are we going to say? Art, days awake. Okay, so we have a value here for days awake. When your days awake is 0, in other words, you've not skipped a night yet, this is your first day staying up too late, phantoms will try and spawn once a second with I believe a percentage chance of 0.0002. So it's actually a really low chance. But the way that it's been calculated is to try and spawn phantoms twice on average throughout those 2 hours. So for the 2 hours that you're awake from 2 a.m. till 4 a.m., which equates to 20 minutes in Artibus time, which, wow, it's actually one full day duration in Minecraft. That's terrible. So for 20 minutes in the middle of the night in Artibus, the game will try and spawn phantoms, and it's worked out so that on average it will spawn phantoms twice. So you may get 0 phantoms, you may get 5 sets of phantoms, but you will usually get 2 sets of phantoms. So there's a chance that you might just not get any at all, but you probably will, and it'll probably be 2. Now, when you've only been awake for 0 days, you will only get maximum of 2 waves of phantoms, but if you've been awake for 1 day or more, you get 3 waves of phantoms, a maximum of 4, a maximum of 5, and if you've been awake for 6 days or more, there is no maximum to how many phantoms can spawn in between 2 a.m. and 4 a.m. If you've been awake for more than 1 day, the phantoms will actually increase by size as well, and for every bit of size they increase, they gain a number of hearts, and they gain an immense amount of damage as well. The maximum size phantoms that you will get are size 4 phantoms. So if I do summon phantom, this location, size 4. So this is the largest type of phantom that you'll be able to encounter. They're pretty fucking big, to be honest, and I was originally going to plan out a whole set of damage values for these guys, so that they would have steadily increasing damage the larger they got, but it turns out Minecraft is actually programmed quite well, and a phantom's damage will scale directly off of its size. Adjusting its damage will do nothing. So if I go into survival mode, you can see how fucking hard this guy hits. Have I got... Yeah, I've got stuff. Okay, so he's going to hit me for like 7 hearts. Yeah, 7.5 hearts when you've been awake for 6 days or more. Now, my thinking is, if you've got armor and you've got, like, food, then you're fine. Boop. But, you know, this guy's going to hit hard. He's going to hit really, really hard. And that, again, that's the maximum size phantom. That's the most dangerous they can get. So if you do have armor, you'll be savvy. But, yeah, these guys are still kind of a nuisance, basically. So yes, phantoms are pretty cool now. Phantoms are better. Hell yeah. Hell yeah. Anyway, phantoms are actually really complicated, and I could go into a lot more detail about how they spawn and how their damage and everything is calculated, but there isn't really any point. I would do recommend just, you know, downloading it, and if you're into data packing yourself, I recommend having a look into the files and seeing how they work yourself, because there's quite a lot to it. It uses a really fancy system of whenever the random chance gets selected, it spawns an area effect cloud at your location, does a spread player check around you to spawn the phantoms at a random location. Let's just do it, actually. I can force it, I think. So every time the phantom thing gets, picked, I don't know, then we basically get this function playing. So Artibus, mob, converter, check, no, what is it called? Time? No? What's it called? Check something. Where is it? Oh, no, I haven't searched that. Phantom, check awake time. Okay. So yeah, when you do check awake time, it will randomly, yeah, there we go. So we've got 3 phantoms in the sky right now, and they kind of like spread apart in a rough area around you. If you're in survival mode, they will all be able to see you from where they spawn in, which is quite cool. But they do spawn, a ways away from you anyway. But the cool thing is, actually, these guys will work under any terrain, because basically the way this works is it uses the spread players command, which automatically searches for the ground level, because it's designed for spreading players in like UHC systems, and then it spawns the phantom 28 blocks above that location. So if you're in a mountain or an ocean or whatever it would be, then the phantoms will always spawn at a decent height, which is really cool. The only time this might actually be wrong is if you spawn in a really weird mountains biome that has like an overhang or something like that. Then there's a small chance that the phantom may spawn in the ground, but I don't think that will happen. I don't think that will happen, but it's possible. I'm actually yet to find out what will happen if these things try and spawn underground, but I'm not ready to find out what that is, because I feel like it'll just be very demoralizing for me, because I'll just realize that it's broken and I can't very easily fix it. But yeah, kill at entity type equals phantom. Hell yeah. Okay. So yeah, phantoms are really cool. I do recommend going and downloading Artibus and finding out for yourself how brutal phantoms really are. I think that with the extended duration of the daytime, I think that this is a much better way of doing phantoms. Again, they only spawn between 2 specific times. So if you really want to avoid phantoms, you can just wait until about midnight and then sleep, which is, again, a full 2 hours if you don't want to sleep too often. Or, of course, if you want to hunt phantoms, you can wait until that specific time and intentionally avoid sleeping by allowing like a friend to sleep with the one-player sleep system, and then your phantoms will keep growing and growing and getting stronger, and you can fight the really difficult ones if you want the challenge. So, cool new mechanic. I might try and write down all the ins and outs of it somewhere on a website or something so that people can reference it, because I feel like this is a really interesting new system that could, very easily challenge vanilla Minecraft systems. So, hell yeah, there you go. Anyway, so time set 6,000 again. Look at that, it's so cool. It's so cool. I love them so much. Okay. So we also have a new thing as well. If you do function toolbox, you can see there are actually quite a few new things in the toolbox right now. So we have, first of all, creative, which is a command that we had beforehand. So again, creative was actually the only command that was in the function folder. The toolbox function folder? I don't know what I'm talking about. So beforehand, in Artibus version 0.3, the only toolbox function was the creative function. That's what I was trying to say. I should write scripts for my videos, but I don't bother because I'm lazy. But yeah, we now have force first load, night skip, uninstall, and void world. So first of all, force first load will basically force the data pack to launch as if it's launching for the first time. If you have already installed Artibus on an existing server or a survival world or anything that you use it on, then you will now need to run force first load every time you update the pack. So say that I've had version 0.3 installed on this world and I've just upgraded to 0.4, I would need to now load force first load, and we'll get the first load command, as you can see here. So Artibus loaded successfully. Click here for more information. It also plays the sound as well, and every time after that, if you just reload, it will basically just, show a little green thing saying Artibus reloaded successfully as opposed to Artibus loaded successfully, which I think is quite cool. Little way of differentiating the first load and any reloads afterwards. So if we go back to our toolbox functions once again, we now also have night skip, which is a better way of doing time set 0. I feel like there's been a lot of times in the past, because again, I am a bit of a cheater. I'll be on a server with some friends and we'll be fed up with the night time and no one has a bed nearby, so I'll just do time set 0 and that's it, and then we just skip back to the daytime. Now time set 0 is actually really bad for the game, because when you do time set, it completely ignores the day counter. If you look at this on the F3 right here, if we see, where's day? Yeah, there it is, day 0. So it says up there, you can see it behind the chat there, basically. It says local difficulty 3.11, 0.56, in brackets, day 0. Now, if I do time set 24,001, it will actually say day 1, because we are now on day 1. If I do 48,001, it will now say day 2, as you can see there. So every time you do time set 0 or time set 1000 or whatever it is people do, it will actually reset back to 0, because time is stored differently to how most people understand, which is fine. It was confusing for me for the longest time ever, and I've now adopted it and tried to do the right thing. So what I'll do now on a server currently is, if it's the middle of the night time and I want to skip back to the daytime, I'll make a rough judgment of where the sun and the moon are, and then just do like time add, say, 15,000, and that instead skips forward in time as opposed to setting the time. So if you're on day 43 and you do time add 15,000, it will go to day 44 as opposed to resetting to day 0. So that's something that I like to do personally. Now what I've done is basically write a function to do this for you perfectly every time. So if you go to function, toolbox, and then night skip, it will just add to the current value of time to skip to 23,640, which is the time that gets skipped to if you sleep in Artibus. I think it's a much cooler first point in the day, because the sun's like still rising and the world's still a little bit gloomy. I think it looks really good. If we do time set 100 or 1000, you can see the sun's actually quite a bit higher than that, as you can see there. In vanilla Minecraft, it does time set 0, but now it does time set 23,640 because it looks nicer, and that's the point at which you can no longer sleep. So it's pretty cool. So yeah, what else do we have? So we also now have a new function as well for uninstalling the pack. So if you press uninstall, as you can see here, it will say Artibus was uninstalled successfully, delete the files and reload. So at this point, you go to your file browser, delete Artibus version 0.4 from your world, and then if you click reload here, it will suggest reload, and then you can reload the pack and it will reload. If you don't delete the files, it will just do a force first load, obviously, because what the uninstall basically does is it just deletes every single scoreboard from the pack. That's it. That's all it really does. So if you want to, you can actually use uninstall and then reload to reset the pack to its default state. But of course, you can always just do that by using the force first load command anyway. And finally, the more exciting one is void world. Look at that. How cool is that? We're in a different dimension. Artibus void world. Wait, where do I see it? Oh yeah, okay. Executes in, yeah, Artibus void world. Look at that. Look at that, a custom dimension. How cool is that? So this was actually a recommendation from Stridey, or not exactly a recommendation, but more of a, he asked how you do it, and then I was like, oh shit, I should do that. So yeah, basically Stridey messaged me a couple days ago, and he basically said, how do you add a custom dimension for just like a flat void world, like nothing special about it, just literally just a blank void world? And I didn't know, and I thought that would be really cool, and I thought that would be a really, really cool feature for a data pack, to just have an additional dimension for creative worlds, which is just the void platform that you can get by using the customized world generation. Wait, what type of world generation is that again? It's like a test world. It's a super flat world option, isn't it? Yeah. So if you go on the super flat world options, one of them is void world, and you just get this little platform in a void. So that's it. That's all it is. So if you use the function, it will basically spawn the platform and teleport you to the correct location, which again, the center of this is 0, 0, as you'd expect. If you want to teleport here in the future, all you have to do is just run the function again, or of course you can use execute in Artibus Void World, run TP Scalibur 080, and you will teleport to here right above the platforms. That's really cool. And of course, if you want to go back to the overworld, all you have to do is do execute in overworld, run TP Scalibur 080, just like that. So there you go, and here we are, back in our little testing facility. So yeah, anyway, thanks for watching, guys. I hope you enjoyed Artibus. There were a load of cool, new, interesting changes to the code in this update as well. I feel like my data packing abilities are getting better every day. I feel like I know more about data packing than I have done at any point in the past, and it's really, really good. I'm probably gearing up to do some more interesting changes in the future along the lines of world generation and maybe even some new mechanics, like some of the old weird tools from SGT and stuff like that, like the Void Magnet and the Anti-Gravity Bow and stuff. But of course, by that point, we're getting into resource pack territory, which is something that I do still want to avoid for the time being, if possible. So anyway, thanks for watching, guys. I hope you enjoyed Artibus. If you do use Artibus regularly, please do let me know. I would love to see feedback or any bug fixing that I would need to do. Any of that kind of stuff is always really helpful to see. And of course, if you do just like Artibus, please let me know. It'd be wonderful to see that people like Artibus, because I think it's great. I actually prefer making Artibus like 10 times more than I like making Celesti. But you guys like Celesti more than Artibus, so I generally make more Celesti than Artibus. So yeah, anyway. Anyway, thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed, and I shall see you in the next one. Take care, have a very nice day, and bye-bye.